I've been thinking a lot about what AI is really going to be affecting. And AI right now is affecting programmers probably the most. They are making good programmers super programmers, and they are giving people like you and me the ability to prompt our way to a workable app. AI is also affecting the law. It's also affecting customer service. It's also affecting graphic design, copywriting. But I keep going around and around about how is this going to affect the EA seat? And I'm landing on the idea that business is still about an exchange of value, money changing hands. And a lot of things that I mentioned just previously are around once a business is up and running and scaling and where speed, efficiency, and all of that affect margin. But really the crux of business is around exchange of value and money changing hands. And the people closest to that are the C-suite. And really the next person closest to that are the EAs. And that they are actually still in a seat where that exchange of money, that exchange of value is still directly affected by them. And it will continue to be an exchange of value. We're not going to have computers talking to each other and deals getting done. I'm starting to see a lane where, again, firmly believe that fractional is keeping that human in the loop while leveraging AI. I had a conversation this week, yesterday, with a CEO of a venture capital firm. And last week, I had in a conversation with his assistant who's leaving and looking at ProAssisting as being a potential solution. And sometimes it's hard when an executive moves from a full-time executive assistant to then shifting to a fractional executive assistant. And on my call yesterday with him, I brought that up, and he was very detailed in his response, given that he's now going to be losing this assistant that he's had, who also does a lot of office functions, project-based work. And he was like, we firmly believe that the EA is still going to be needed, whereas we're doing things that are making parts of their job obsolete. His example was expense reports. And he said, we've created an AI back end for expense reports to where we can do those very quickly and very easy. But that human touch, when we're going after investors or we're talking to our LPs, our limited partners, working out those schedules, working out the logistics, that is still needs that human component. And he said, someone who knows me and knows the objectives of the business and knows the constantly changing priority and the context behind that to make decisions and keep moving forward while he can still focus on the bigger picture thinking. So that conversation, along with a number of others, and my idea or my feeling like business is not going to go away. People are still going to have money to spend. Companies still need to transact. And I do not believe that we're going to have one AI transacting with a different AI to create money. And if we do get to that point, who's behind it and what does that look like? That's above my pay grade now. But this idea that capitalism is still going to be taking place. And so in the idea of having, especially in the C-suite or high-level executives, you need that taste, that strategic experience, that understanding of human nature, especially when it comes to strategy and marketing and getting your message out. And where does that all point to? Dollars changing hands. Hands are belong to humans, and there has to be some connection there. And so I still firmly believe that 80, 85, 90% of the business leaders out there do not need a full-time assistant. While I still believe that human connection and a human in the seat that's representing you and your office and your company in those interactions leading up to a transaction is needed, is going to still be needed. But coming full circle and going and saying, I think a lot of assistants are just not in a position to be handling this transition like that. And they just want it handed to them. And a lot of assistants, and this one yesterday who I was meeting with, she was like, "Oh, there's a ton of jobs out there. Like I see postings all the time." And I didn't say to her, a lot of those postings are ghost postings. A lot of those postings go nowhere. And right now, even the C-suites don't know when to say yes. So they'll do a posting, they'll get hundreds of resumes, they'll have 30 interviews, they'll pick their top 2 people, and then they finally get to the point where they need to pull the trigger and actually sign on the dotted line, and they say, "We've rethought the position. We've decided to hold on this hire." Because nobody knows what's going on. But it all comes back to it all comes back to money and transaction. And so behind the scenes as a business, if you want to increase your margin by leveraging AI into your already mature business, absolutely. It's definitely happening. There's no doubt about that. And will that change the value of certain companies in certain ways? When Amazon lets go of 300,000 warehouse workers, when they get the combination of robotics and AI, yeah, that's going to change their valuation. And yeah, that's going to displace people. But for the top 10% of executive assistants out there who sit at the nexus of transactions, that's still going to be there.